our Thursday subscriber stream here on lichess and Twitch. Sladgie on Twitch. We play under the account Sparkle Horse on lichess. And we have a lot of submissions for our game analysis. This is the theme for today. Thursday is subscriber stream. I do game analysis with the subscribers, obviously. And it's really instructive. Even if you don't subscribe, even if you don't have a game in the list today, I think it's a very instructive thing. You need to treat chess if you want to really improve, that is. If you don't care, then you don't care. But if you want to improve at chess, you need to treat it in a very analytical way. The more you think, the better it is for you. It's like doing exercises or something. And just solving tactics problems isn't enough. I think critical analysis is absolutely the best way to improve your game. I highly recommend maybe grabbing a book of games by a very strong player and going over their games, yourself in depth. And even writing down notes about what you analyze and your ideas. So we are live, hopefully. Is it cool? Do we look good? We've got mic, camera, action. Okay, so we got a lot of games to get to. We've got more subscribers lately, a little bit of an uptick in subscribers. I think more guys who are active here submitting games. So we have a limited amount of time, 2.5 hours, to cover these games. Bob says, welcome everybody, by the way. I should welcome you, Bob, otherwise known as Sladgie fan. Zen Chess, not to be confused with any recent drifters. Asterbait, who else is here? Percy Hepworth, what's up? Blue-Eyed Albino's been on. He was getting some coffee. Actually, he's the first game for today. And Merle Dixon was here earlier. Guys, thank you so much for supporting the stream and subscribing. Please donate bits to support the stream if possible. But we're going to get underway here. So we've got Asterbait, and I think Blue-Eyed Albino was actually beat into the punch here for the first game analysis. So we're going to start with that. Blue-Eyed Albino, if I can find it, we got a long list here. So Blue-Eyed Albino submitted this first yesterday. He was ahead of everyone else. Alex, I've got your game. Ignis. So this is Blue-Eyed Albino. Now, maybe Blue-Eyed Albino's here, I'm not sure. The only problem is I know for sure. If I go back a second. One game that shows the importance of positional game. Okay, but I'm not sure if Blue-Eyed Albino, what color he's playing here, or this is just a game he submitted. I don't know. But we'll just play through the game. It's not important who's who so much. I'd like to know if it's a game of one of the viewers. It really helps. I can point out specifically ideas for them. I'm not sure if this is Blue-Eyed Albino's game. Probably not. It says like White and Black are FIDE Masters. Game of your coach. He's white. Okay. So I wouldn't rule out you could be a FIDE Master. I don't know. A lot of people aren't that proud of being FIDE Master, so you could easily be a FIDE Master. E4, C5, Knight F3, and then Knight C6. So, okay, so your coach is playing this game. Playing white. And Knight C6, we've got an open Sicilian, CD, Knight takes D4. Knight F6, Knight C3, and then E5. I think that the Sveshnikov, or Pelican, or Lasker Pelican, basically there's 3 names for this. Lasker, Pelican, and Sveshnikov. So, probably even another name we can figure out somewhere. But this is probably one of the best Sicilians, objectively. I've been wanting to ask you that for a while. What's that, Bob? That some openings and resulting positions are just too much for some players? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think so. So, E5. And this move was considered anti-positional for a long time. I do agree with that, Bob. I think for certain beginners, you don't want to play highly weakening openings, say the Dutch defense. I don't think the Dutch defense is appropriate for players under 1600, something like that. So, just for an example, Knight on D to B5. Yeah, I think more fundamental openings are recommended for low-rated players. Knight B5 now, D6. Bishop g5. This is the main line. It's not the only way to play. There are a lot of other ways. You can play knight to d5. I don't think that's objectively that good for white, but it's a solid line. a4. My friend Alexander Ivanov plays that a lot. And then I guess you could also play something like bishop e3. The Sladgie, Judith Polgar Hungarian variation. So this is a variation that's occasionally seen. Polgar has a couple games there, but this particular line is Pereni Bela, who was a Hungarian player with a lot of original ideas. Tragically died at the end of the 80s in a car accident, but Pereni Bela probably was behind the popularization of this move. But there's not a lot of theory there. Bishop g5 is the main move. Did I get a new computer? I see you have the engine on. Whoops. I don't have the engine on. My webcam is working fine. Well, one thing I did do, what I didn't really think about, it's not a new computer, but I did reduce the number of lines. Typically, I like to use 2 lines when I'm analyzing with the engine, and I think that was slowing it down pretty heavily. So we can just use 1 line of analysis if I turn on the Stockfish. Hopefully, Zen Chess, now that you said that, the stream probably crashed. But it depends. The answer is, Nils just submitted your game. You're pretty late, Nils. I'm not sure we're going to get to it because we got the record number of game submissions today. So I'm not going to guarantee I get to all of them. I've got literally 1, 2, 3, 12 games submitted, which is pretty many. 2.5 hours is 150 minutes. So if we spend just 10 minutes per game, we should be able to get through them. 10 or 12, maximum 15, 12 minutes per game. No time to mess around. So a6, knight a3, b5, this is like main line, but there is another way to play here. Larson liked to play bishop e6, which is a move that's like kind of old-fashioned Sveshnikov. It's considered to be not as good as b5, but I think it's worth knowing because if you're white, you have to be prepared for it, and if you're black, it might prove to be a reasonable surprise weapon. The weakness is the d5 square, and actually Blue-Eyed Albino submitted this game as an example of, beauty in positional play. And I think that we can go on a greater philosophical level and say that the Sicilian defense, because black trades off the c-pawn in the opening on d4, isn't available, and oftentimes the d5 square is an outpost for the white pieces in the Sicilian. This is particularly a risk that black runs when he plays the Sveshnikov or any system with e5. And I think that this game is an illustration of what can go wrong if we don't get that square, under control, or at least get enough counterplay to justify giving that square up. So, Amar Sinaga, welcome. b5, bishop takes f6. So this is one of the 2 main lines. There's another line I play more, knight d5. And if knight d5, black can try to play queen a5 check. That's kind of a weird variation. Oftentimes people agree to 3-fold repetition repeating moves, like bishop d2. A game I had with Attila Sebe last year. But most of the time, white will play like c3, or not c3, but bishop d2 and c4 now. I think this is a move. This is probably critical. So that's another variation. But by playing bishop takes f6 in the game here, white limits black's options. And this is kind of like the most classical line. You double the pawns, you play knight d5, and now bishop g7. This isn't the main line. The main line is actually f5 for black, but I don't want to do a theoretical analysis of the opening. I'd rather just go over the game. So bishop g7 and f5 are the 2 main moves. I have no clue which one is better. f5 is more of the main line, I would say, but there's a ton of theory on both. Massive amounts of theory here. There's a funny move here that I think Emery Tate played. Was it this position or the next move? g4. And this was played by Velimirovich originally. This is kind of unsound, but I used it in Blitz sometimes. You can see Tate. Tate lost to Michael Casella too. But I did see him win a game with it once. It's kind of a funny and crazy idea. Typical Emery Tate. But anyway, RIP. Bishop g7, c3, and now black's gonna play f5, clearly. He doesn't have to play it right away. You can see there, I mean, there are different ways black can fight back against the d5 square. Knight e7, challenging that knight on d5. The bishop defends f6. I think this is like, Yurun, our former moderator, probably played this line against me. This is an old kind of way of playing, fighting for d5 straight away. This is a submission by Blue Eyed Albino. One of his coach played this with white. Very classic position now. f5, e takes f5, bishop takes f5. We transpose back into theory, and I don't know what the best move is. Clearly, I mean, it looks like everyone plays knight on c to e3. I would think that white would have a choice here. Also notable is like a4. Sometimes an important idea for white to break up the black queen side. So knight e3, apparently this is main line. And now bishop d3. Anand Kramnik from 1998. I had the feeling that Kasparov had a very important game with the white pieces, actually, in this variation. But that was a different line. Kasparov playing black against Anand in the World Championship match. No, 2004. This is another tournament. Never mind. But anyway, there's tons of theory here. Bishop d3, one of many moves. And now castles. And the theory here is probably to do with queen h5. Like if you try to play f4, you get roasted because you're getting crushed on the white squares. It's very tempting to play that move, but it doesn't work. So e4. Now I do notice this seems to be the main move. Rook a7. Acerbate, you will enjoy this a lot. You know, transferal of rook to the other side of the board. But e4. You know, that has the feeling of a move that makes the pawns kind of scattered and inflexible. What we don't want is the pawns to get fixed. You know? And we're out of book here with the move queen e7. It looks like the white squares are very weak. It's funny, queen d7 was played in a game, but not queen e7. Black's going to give up his bishop pair. This is apparently like almost universally played. Bishop there, and then I guess there's various tactics to try to defend the pawn on f5. It looks like this. We've got games, but nothing recent. Nothing at all recent. All older games. So not a trendy line at the moment. But this is a new move. And then my fear would be that the white squares for black would be weak, consequently. Plays bishop here, threatening, obviously knight takes, and then king h8. So that's one way to solve the problem, but it does appear like the pawn structure is kind of sketchy, and the white squares are very bad. White plays f3. I mean, this is a scary move to play. I mean, I don't think I would dare to play f3 here. Let the computer have a look at it. It's double-edged, you know. I mean, f3, there are all different possibilities. I would honestly feel like this is a little bit risky for white to play f3 because the dark squares are difficult to control. He has an unopposed dark squared bishop, and because we don't have a dark squared bishop, this is one of the only pawns, you know, pieces and pawns, whatever you want to call them, pieces, pawns, that can control the dark squares. Its ability to control dark squares. So I think this is a natural idea, but very aggressive and risky because you're attacking the head of the pawn chain, basically black's strong point, and you're weakening the dark squares. So I would prefer something a little bit less controversial there. But anyway, bishop h6, he just goes here. Black's options are very, very limited now. He basically has to take on d5 because if you don't, there's going to be knight takes e6 and a fork on c7. So this looks well calculated. And then queen e5. And now f4. This is a protected pass pawn, but it does shut down these pawns from being able to move. We have a blockade, essentially. It also takes away a very key square. By the way, I want to say hello for the chess pandas. Hello, I'm upside down. Hello. These are the chess pandas substitutes. We're not substitutes, we're real now. That other panda just abandoned you. I don't know, guys. He's holding down the fort in Budapest. So Queen G7. I will become a ventriloquist if the post office thing doesn't work out. Queen G7. And so we're in an interesting spot where I think we should stop and take a look. What's really happening here? White's got a better structure with 2 islands against 3. Black's pawn's more advanced, therefore weaker. It's an opposite color bishop position, so very sharp in that sense that white can attack on the white squares, black can attack on the black squares. I just feel like structure-wise, white is better, and he has to be a little bit careful about his king, obviously. King H1, good move. Just what I was talking about. And now knight A5. Very aggressive play by black, you know, to go knight A5 and, you know, trying to get into C4, but I don't know. Maybe he should be a little more careful here. I mean, this move is really kind of abandoning the center. I would seriously think about something like rook to D8. I know that looks a bit passive, but if you try anything, it's hard for white to do anything without moving this knight, say, back or something. And if you try to do anything, maybe black could play D5. Just to secure that pawn as well. Obviously, white has like A4, though, which is a standard problem. I don't know. Maybe knight A5 is good. But I'm thinking it's a little bit on the side of the board. Now, bishop E3, this is a great move. And then we have this classic, right out of the most instructive chess games ever played. The quandary, like for black, if this knight versus this bishop is straight up, if that's all that's happening here, it's a very unpleasant sort of situation for black. So he realized that and then changed his mind and played knight b7. But I mean, did we really play knight a5 to fianchetto our knight on b7? Because that doesn't seem good. And it looks like here white's taking over, blockading, and now queen g6, just defending pawns. We have bishop d5 minimum now. That's what he played. Rook a b8. And just snap it off. Bishop takes, rook takes. So clearly inferior bishop that's having a hard time really doing much. And better pawn structure for white. Though maybe this protected pass pawn gives black some hope. If your opponent weakens his dark squares, how do you take advantage of it? Keeping a dark bishop, right? Yeah, that makes sense, of course. You can exploit that. This bishop, if white weakens his dark squares, yeah, this bishop will punish white. I mean, he does have most of his pawns on the right color opposite that bishop, so this is really not bad. But what concerns me most is that weakness on d6 for black. That's really unpleasant. I would say white has a solid edge here. Yeah, it's about a pawn worth of positional advantage, which seems about right. Queen d5, and then rook on b to b8, which is a bit of a passive move. I'm not sure what he should play here. That feels a little inactive. And that's another weakness now. For example, I mean, that looks ugly, but maybe rook b6. Maybe something more active. Where should we go? Rook c7, even just keeping the queen off of c6 might be an option. But there's going to be some problems with the d6 pawn, with the a6 pawn. It's a very, yeah, the Chernev book. The Chernenko. The second time. Yeah, what's a great book? Very cheap. They've republished it, though, the more expensive Batsford edition, which is really stupid, because you should just buy the original one by Dover for like $8 or something. Queen c6, a5, rook d1. And now all of white's pieces are working, black's not so well. Bishop on h6, kind of a question mark. fd8, rook d5, and that's a big problem now. So I think that at this point black's probably lost. Let's see. It's like 2 pawns up for white. Yeah. Queen h5, just threatening to come in here. Rook takes d6, winning a pawn. Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of Nimzovich. You know, whoever played this with white, I think as an appreciation for Nimzovich, you got the knight versus bishop and the blockade. Definitely another thing I would recommend is my system or anything to do with Nimzovich. Bishop takes f4, rook takes d8, takes d8, check, wins a piece. Okay, good game. So that's out of the way. That was a good game, though, instructive, and I think it illustrates very good Nimzovichian strategy. The most important square in the Sicilian. So the book that I was talking about was the most instructive chess games ever played by Chernev. I've heard of ideas behind the chess openings. I don't really have an opinion on it. It's one of those kind of classic books that I kind of skipped over. Who was the author of that again? I got another game now from Chestosterone. Probably not going to get there, Chestosterone. Really late today. Actually, I haven't seen him in a while. There were turkeys in my yard. I saw the turkeys again today in a different yard, ironically. They betrayed me. We'll do the best we can. Yeah, I had turkeys in the yard living here for a few days. They moved on. We're on to Acerbate next. Another Nimzovichian strategic opening. Where did it go? B30, Sicilian defense, Roslimo Nesmedinov attack. Yeah, wild turkeys living in my yard. I guess they like ate all the nuts and whatever they eat, and it was gone, so they just moved on. What do wild turkeys eat anyway? It's a good question. Alright, so this is Acerbate's game. Welcome everybody. Thank you for watching the stream. Please support the stream, donate, support us. And let me get this back up there. Support the stream, donate. Let's get some bits. A bit war going. Get the bit war going. I've got to fix my windows. Sorry guys. Window chaos. A little bit of window chaos here. The BKGN is new. Say hello. So, alright, Clash Kid this week with 947, Dim with 600, Fishrat Cow 101. Acerbate is playing black, so let's see. You can use the F key to flip the board if your mouse is hovering over the board on lichess. Interesting tip. So knight F3, I got a little bit of lag. It's not really lag with the internet, it's lag with my computer. Oh, this isn't the right game. Okay, my bad. Wait, this is where I picked the wrong game, Acerbate? Or is this the right game? Oh no. The H-Sage stuffing. Acerbate. Wait. No, this is not it. Where's the game, dude? Wait. Wait, here it is. My bad. Alright, it was my bad. I clicked on the wrong one. Here we go. Alright, so this is Chocolat against Acerbate. No, it's not flipping. Dude, flip. Okay, flip. I flipped twice. I flipped twice so quickly you couldn't see it. Okay, e4, c5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5. You've got to be well prepared for this. And I think I talked to Acerbate a little bit about this. I prefer to play d6, but it's really just a matter of taste. g6 is the main move. Clash Kid, welcome. And again, thank you for the bit donations this week. The Woodpecker Method, another weirdly titled book by Axel Smith. No, I don't know anything about it. It sounds freaky, and I wouldn't want to sell a chess book with that title and expect to get a lot of copies sold. But you never know. I mean, if I ever write a book, I want it to be in all the major bookstores. I'll do like the next Idiot's Guide to Chess or something. Okay, bishop b5, g6. It's probably in the woodpecker department. It sounds weird. I'm sure that it's interesting though. No, I haven't heard about it yet. It's probably new. But Axel Smith has some other books out. You know, he seems like he's producing some stuff and has some interesting ideas. So, but in all jokes aside, you know, that's cool. It sounds like he's got original thinking. Um, so I don't know much about Tikkanen. It's a Finnish guy. Okay, G6. That's our main line. E6 is good as well. My friend John Fedorovich plays this. He calls it the pawn wall. Basically, you recapture on c6, and then you play like 6 and knight e7 and f6. So you like got all these pawns with b6. I'm sorry, c6, d6, e6, f6, knight e7, knight g6. The Fed likes that. The problem for black is that this bishop can get stuck, and that's really the thing you cannot allow under any circumstances in this type of variation. Do not allow your bishop to get just totally stuck. Speaking of turkeys, if he exchanges on c6, if it happens, you know, I did this once in a bad game against Tony Miles, I think, in a rapid game online. Similarly, maybe not the exact same position, but similar position. Yeah, The Idiot's Guide to Chess sounds like a top seller. I know there's a what is it, Chess for Dummies by Jim Eade. He's not even a particularly strong master, but B takes c6 is probably a good cash cow. Okay, bishop takes c6, d takes c6. Yeah, this is bad, I think, personally. I mean, we can see there might be some decent players who've done this, but I can't really see the reasoning before this for this d takes. The problem is a serious one. I don't know how your bishop is ever going to get into the game. I mean, if white plays e5, you know, maybe not right away, but at some point, I just don't know how this bishop's ever going to get itself into the game. This is a strategy that Roman Gingiashvili, who I worked with before we started to hate each other, this is a strategy he used in the Grand Prix attacks sometimes. You know, he would just stuff the bishop on c8, and it's never going to get out. You know, where's it going to go? White will play like d3, and this bishop, you know, if it comes to a6, it's going to do nothing, attacking like, so d3. This is the strategic problem with taking with the d pawn. You need to take with the b pawn, acerbate, play d6, and then like knight e7, or actually knight e7 right away is probably fine. If e5 here, we can undermine that with f6. And I think that's a very important idea that you understand. We don't want to do this, okay? We don't want to have the pawns broken, you know, like completely, where they're just isolani here. I think this is just a very unpleasant structure for black to have. So, welcome to my stream, guys. We're doing game analysis. This is really instructive stuff. It's not as exciting as our Blitz stream, but it's much more worthwhile if you want to tune in. International Chess Grandmaster is a chess grandmaster. It's the official title. So, but anyways, you should undermine with f6, destroy this pawn, and then you're able to play later on when these pawns are traded one way or another. You're able to play d6, and then hopefully e5, erect a pawn wall, pawn amoeba, whatever you want to call it, and then your bishop will get out from c8. So it's all of this strategic stuff about getting the bishop out into the game. This is going to be the vital way we make black's position work. And there's various ways you can do that. But I think like the most accurate move order is something like castles, knight e7, and then the knight settles on g6. Not a favorite square of mine, but anyways, the knight will probably go to g6, and then we play slowly d6, e5, and we get our pieces out. Alright, so acerbate took with the d pawn. I'm very concerned about this bishop here on c8. He's making an attempt to fight for e5, but it's too late. Now he can go e5 and shut you down. And then strategically, it's another Nimzovich. It's just another Nimzovich position. Much like I talked about first game. Blockade, locked position. The knight's very strong. It's excellent. So that's what you got to avoid, really, allowing this to happen, acerbate. At this point, I don't know what to recommend. A little more subtle to go like here. And you'll notice there's two games here, like Sladgie, somebody else. They played e5. And ironically, black won both games. Which is like ridiculous, because white is better here. Put on the engine. The computer might like the fact that it has the bishop pair, but it's not crazy. It's giving like an advantage to white in this position. Of some sort. I think that it's already, like, Stockfish undervalues white's position because it's obsessed with the bishop pair. But this bishop is not going to play effectively. I mean, unless you can sack a pawn with c4 and play b6 and c5, you're going to be down a bishop. Famous game that Fritz, or some computer one I remember, lost, sorry. The computer lost against German Grandmaster Lutz in a computer tournament. Computer is playing in a human tournament in Germany in the early 2000s. I think there was a really nice example where Lutz was able to beat the computer, a strong computer, with this type of position, this type of structure. Infinite Flash Chess is rating with a party of 6. Welcome to the stream. We need the support, need the viewers. Thank you, Infinite Flash Chess, for the raid. Thank you for the raid. Alright, d takes c6, knight c3, bishop d6, and then e5. Uh-oh. That's a tempo for a useful move. And now white makes a terrible mistake. He plays d4. And this is totally against what everything he was trying to do. You don't want to open the position for the black bishops. This is just a horrendous strategic error for white. You want to keep it shut down, and you want this bishop to die. You want this bishop to just be a pawn. So basically black is up a pawn but down a bishop in this position. And then the pieces just play. You know, you're going to play with these three minor pieces and eventually create threats wherever, all over the board. Maybe a kingside attack, knight e4, something like that. And basically black is down a piece, effectively, in this position. And that's the problem. So d4, totally changing the position, and then Asterbait doesn't trade pawns. Ah, Asterbait. He's trying to help you out, and you don't help yourself. Man, so you don't help yourself. This bishop will live because it will be able to get to b7. If we trade this pawn here, you should be able to play b6, bishop b7, and bring the bishop out on a long diagonal at some point. So this basically frees our position. We should be able to get it into the game. But Asterbait didn't know what he was really supposed to do here, so he plays c4, and this is another bad move. It contributes to keeping your own bishop locked in, essentially. You need to get rid of the d4 pawn, be able to play c5, b6, get the bishop out to b7. And you play c4, that doesn't help. That does not help the cause here. Now we played b3. You see, this is like, again, kind of doing the wrong thing. Doing the wrong thing. Opening the position for the enemy bishops. Now, I mean, at the very least, we can probably play b6, bishop a6, get the bishop out there. Asterbait is a tactical player, so he's looking for tactics here. Fortunately for white, he can defend. Knight d5, no problem. And he just dropped a piece. Okay, this is anticlimactic. So knight e4 is mandatory, it looks like. When you could try like c3, but I don't really like the look of this. He could even play knight to d6 check. No, you've left the building here. Elvis has left the building. I mean, this bishop, ironically, is doing a good job protecting d6 from that knight invader. The invader coming to d6. Maybe bishop a5 is okay, but I don't know what your follow-up should be. Peter is suggesting a really strange line. I don't know. I wouldn't know what to do here with black. This is really nasty. Bishop takes, like take it out. Bishop takes, bishop takes. Maybe you can survive? Opposite bishops? I don't know. It's still better for white. No matter what you do. You got too many problems. Here. So he just dropped a piece, and that's it, man. That is it. That is a piece up. You're down a bishop, but you're up a bishop. You're extra bishop now. This is an extra bishop. We'll take it. Terrible. But he understands what to do. Terrible, terrible for white. Yeah, now your bishop plays. I don't know if that was the most accurate, but You know, he's kind of strong pawn there. I wouldn't let him go d6. Now you're going to have to break it up with f6, it looks like. Here, here, here. Trading pieces. Again, I don't know. I would just solidly blockade Astrobate. He's getting a little carried away. And now f6. It's good enough. Good enough. Good job. And he should be winning. But he only knows offense. There's no defense for Astrobate. Now what happens if you take with the queen here? Camel Culture, what's up? Hey guys, what's up? Maybe wanted to play b5 and strengthen his pawns. I think he does the opposite of what he thinks his opponent. He's using a lot of psychology, a little too much. I think Astrobate tries to do the opposite of what he feels his opponent wants him to do. So when White offered a trade of b3, like, he thought, okay, he wants to trade pawns, I'm going to play c4. At what point do you stop dropping pieces? Yeah. Yeah, I think around 1700 is where you stop dropping pieces. So Astrobate just wins here. Takes with the queen, here, here, and then winning a... what is that? Well, actually, you can still play queen d1. No, f2 is attacked. Nice, nice, nice. Nice, and resigns. Okay, Astrobate, so a lot to think about in that game. I mean, you really positionally made a lot of mistakes in the early going, and you're fortunate that your opponent just was weak tactically. Welcome to the stream, guys. We've got any other submissions? We've got tons of games today, so we'll see what happens. Yeah, everybody drops a piece now and then, but that was really obvious. So don't forget, tomorrow I'm doing my Friday stream. I guess we're at the normal time, 12 o'clock. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I try to do 12 o'clock streams. But for some reason, I wasn't 100% sure. Okay, we're on for 12 o'clock tomorrow, noontime, early stream. So the European players can... The reason I do that is so the European players can have a stream where it's not ridiculously late for them. Alright, what was I going to do next? So Artie Fufkin submitted a game yesterday or this morning, I don't know. This is Game for Analysis. Subscriber stream. Oh, it's Elvest. Speaking of, Elvest left the building. Elvest, game analysis for subscriber stream. Okay, Jan is white, and he lost against Valery Popov. What is this from? 1994. I mean, Jan was extremely strong back then. He was extremely strong in the late 80s. Actually, Elvest played in like World Cup tournaments. I remember 1988, 87, 88. He was really at his peak. He was young and very talented. Wojtkiewicz had massive respect to the day he died for Elvest. He thought, you know, to him, Elvest was like his hero. They were very good friends, but of course Elvest is still alive and playing chess. But Wojtkiewicz had this massive respect for Jan. He was a world-class player, but he kind of never really stayed in the top elite group after like 1988. Alright, so Elvest is white, Valery Popov is black. I don't know what the significance of this game is that Artie Fufkin chose, but we'll take a look. I prefer, you know, it looks like Elvest was better. Let's look at it from his side. He ends up losing at the end, but let's see. So d4, knight f6, knight f3, c5, and then d5, which is the critical move. And now black played e6. It's basically a reti in reverse. The most dynamic move for black here is b5, and this is a common line with colors reversed. Obviously having an extra tempo would make a hell of a big difference, I would think. We saw people like Rapport playing this reti line with white even recently in 2018, I think, or 2017, I don't remember. I mentioned like Rapport, Nair. I had basically given up playing these lines with the white pieces though. So imagine it's not quite as good with black. So here though, c4 is the most dynamic. Bishop g5 is like the main line. Bishop g5 is always good, huh? Against anything slow. But we have instead d5, e6. So this is considered to be, I guess, like a stock line where white is a little bit better. But Jan just played c4. So maybe I already suggested this because it was a Blumenfeld, and I did a series on the Blumenfeld. But honestly, knight c3 is probably... I'm surprised. I would really honestly... I would think that knight c3 would be more common. It's like a more simple line. So... What's up, Camel? I guess the problem with this, it does lead to a lot of trades. This line is pretty forced. I remember this guy in Budapest playing this David Karatarosyan. And I was kind of like, oh, that doesn't look a lot of fun for black. But you can probably draw. You know, this is a known variation that I think is just slightly unpleasant for black. Alright. So queen takes d5 anyways. We transpose instead to a Blumenfeld. I'm going to keep it on this setting. I have recommended this opening for black. It is risky. It is what it is. I did a video series for the chess world. You can go buy it. D takes e6, F takes e6, C takes b5, and now the classic move is d5, but I recommended also a6 and bishop b7 in my video series, which was fairly in depth on this. I think that these moves are more modern and more promising and more flexible. You can play d5 sometimes later. You don't have to play it right away. So it's more tricky to play a6 or bishop b7, and even bishop e7 is kind of underrepresented line. The classical plan is like d5 and then bishop d6, because there's like really famous old games with that, and it's the most obvious to play. Let's be clear, a 2300 player from the late 80s would probably killer. Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I was playing in that era, and I started, my first FIDE rating was probably in 1990 or 1991. I don't think there was that much difference, but I think that Valery Popov might be he might have been an old grandmaster, actually. I have the feeling that this guy was a GM. Just his rating had dropped, if I remember correctly. So bishop e7, knight c3, bishop e7. Yeah, knight c3. At this time, Popov is playing a line that's like basically not known at all. With bishop b7 at that period, and almost everyone played the classical move d5, which was like the only thing they knew. So bishop e7 experimental, knight c3 now, and I think this is a very important idea. Playing for e4 in the gambit style. Why do you think 2300 from the 80s is different? Well, there's a lot of rating inflation. Rating inflation is a real thing. They lowered the FIDE ratings. All the ratings now exist in a totally different way than they used to. I mean, there used to be no ratings at all below 2000, period. End of story. There were no FIDE ratings at all until like 1995 or later, where people started to have ratings below 2000. It changes the whole... I would think it would change the whole rating system pretty seriously. So I think there would be differences. But who knows? People running around who are like 900. There were never any ratings below 2000 back then. So anyway, playing e4 as a gambit idea looks really interesting. But I don't think the white can quite justify it here. Yeah, the computer wants to do it. I've played enough and I've studied enough Blumenfeld gambits that this feels to me like something you always want to try to do. Sacrifice a pawn for the initiative. So here again is another example of a very scary situation where Elvis didn't leave the building, but he maybe should with e4. So check this out. Just as this is computer, but the idea is mine. So knight takes e4, and then you can trade and play bishop d3, or you can play bishop d3. I don't know which one is better. The idea is basically the same. To do something like takes. Let's try to trade the knights, for example. We play very sharply. And there's a game, Talixin, from 2005. So this is unclear, according to the engine. Anyway, it's an interesting idea to sack a pawn there. But Popov, okay, playing more solidly. He plays, what, bishop g5. It doesn't look like a bad move. I don't know why it's given an inaccuracy. d5, e3. And then there's a Hungarian game there. Full D Istvan. Okay, knight on bd7. Bishop e2. Castle. Castle. Nah. What to do? King h8 played 3 times. Igor was white in the Troll Masters in 1993 against Igor against Enar. I played both of them. But man, it looks like a classic position. Nefyedov said, "What? You met the guy in what? In real life? Yeah. Yeah, he's a class player. Excellent chess player. He played in like the World Cup in 1988. I mean, with elite round robin tournament with Kasparov and the best players in the world. I mean, that's pretty insane. You know, he's just not another 2600 in that sense. But all right, castles, king h8, rook c1. This looks pretty natural. Classic Blumenfeld. Now black had nothing better than to move his bishop again. And here Jan played e4. So, computer recommends a4, just kind of hanging on to the pawn. I mean, what you'd really like to see is black play e5. Let's just say, probably black would play a6 here to stop a5, because a5 is kind of nasty. I would think something like this. Let's say white, you know, passes here. Actually, e4 becomes a good move now. I would think that typically what you'd want to do, though, would be to wait for this type of thing, you know, to play e4 here. But even this isn't necessarily good. Let's see what happens. e4. Alright. Claiming it's an inaccuracy. The computer. Very complicated tactical line now. d4. Wow, and Jan played b4. Another guy. Yeah, that's funny. Well, I mean, Elvis and Ilya Smirin are like probably close to the same generation, and they're both, you know, guys who played each other like a million times in the same Swiss system tournaments in Russian. That's funny. Yeah, b4. He got crazy. I mean, Jan really got kind of crazy here. And then knight a4. Yeah, like he let himself get carried away and let control of the position sort of drift away. Now it's just a mess. He should have kept the game under more control. He started it all himself by playing this e4, which wasn't really absolutely necessary, but I think he wanted to clarify the situation. Fix the pawn structure in the center. He felt more comfortable with that. So Popov has a reasonable position. The material is now what? Still a pawn up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's equal. Okay, equal pawns. And here apparently, yeah, he sacked a piece, which is a neat idea. It's not forced though. I mean, you could just play strategically with like knight h5. So Popov sacked a piece, and then Jan could have played bishop d3. Apparently, it's not clear. Very weird. But he plays this. I mean, that's a kind of cool line. We can't analyze everything, but Peter was looking at some crazy stuff here. Knight f2, like this. So this was a crazy game. Okay, so Popov sacks a piece. Obviously, the long diagonal is really, really scary. And now we got to play bishop f1. So black has the initiative. The knight's on the side of the board. Playing for the initiative here. He misses queen f7. Apparently the best move. I'll turn off the engine. We don't have to like constantly use the engine. Queen e1. And then queen f5. And now h3. Making Luft. This is scary. This is totally scary. I mean, 2 bishops. raking the king side, followed by e3. It looks like the knight's out in limbo on a4. According to this graph here, it says like it's still equal, but man. Alright, Nefedov, we will eventually meet up. Bishop e4, take, and then queen f2 check, king h2, h6, b6. Black has compensation for the piece, obviously. And eventually it looks like Jan blundered. Queen d6. Queen d6 just doesn't really do anything. I guess he wanted to come back here. He missed that there's some sort of tactic after e3, queen takes d3, e2. That doesn't work. E3, queen takes d3, e2, and then queen f4 check will win the rook on c1. Well, I think at this point Jan had simply missed, queen takes or e2, and that's probably what he missed going into the end. This probably just wins for black, I assume, because of this check on f4 hitting this guy. Yeah, no, I don't think that he was lost until he blundered this tactic. The knight on a4 is a sad piece. Yeah, it was probably time pressure, and he thought, he thought the d3 was covered, but it's not really. And so Popov wins. A nice game. And it's over. We make a nice horsey there. Did he really do that? That's dis. Alright, so it's claiming it was a horsey. Under promotion, not very nice there. That's a happy horsey, and that's a sad horsey. So anyway, that was a cool game from Artie. Thanks for submitting that. So Ignis is up next. We're going to get to as many games on the list as I have time, guys. I have tons of game submissions for today, which I really want to thank you for submitting, because in the past, we had maybe much less games, and now it's getting to the point where there's plenty of subscribers. We have lots of interest. It's wonderful. So please support the stream. Clash Kid, Dim, Fish Rat Cow supported the stream this week. Lots of help from those guys. Thank you so much. Alright, so I did Ignis Yabatis is up next. Is that right? Where is my submission from Yabatis? I didn't do Ignis. I'm saying okay. I didn't do Ignis. Yeah. Alright. I hope you're well. I'm submitting a game. Alright, we're going to do this game. Was this the one you wanted to do, or you wanted to do the other one? Actually, I think there was another game by Ignis that he submitted after that one, so I assume maybe I should do that one. He said, I just wanted to share a game, which I played my best. Had a great game to point. I'm not sure, Ignis, which game you wanted to submit. Please analyze this game. I don't know, man, which one he meant for the stream. Maybe the first one, but I thought this would be interesting as well. So Ignis was white in this game. Let's just do this one. Yeah, that's why I'm going to do this one. It's against a strong player. Alright, we're in the game analysis here. You're welcome, Artie Fufkin. Thanks for submitting an interesting game. Kind of classic Blumenfeld. Black got the initiative. Played riskfully, I would say, but it's a very risky line to play with black. I never thought about playing that move order, but I don't normally. I don't know. I would be concerned about knight c3, which is a small edge for white. That would dissuade me from that mostly. So white is playing against international master Voya, who does a lot of simuls on various chess sites and stuff. Black here playing the accelerated dragon. So d4, cd4, knight d4, and then bishop g7. And now knight takes c6. Okay. Kind of shocking that move's been played by Peng Xiang Zhang, whoever that is. Should I know? But people try some weird stuff sometimes. So this is a typical scenario where I see this all the time. They just exchange on c6. But it's almost always bad to do this. You're bringing another pawn to the center, and you're controlling the d5. You're helping black control d5. I just showed the game from Blue Eye in the first game we looked at today, where the d5 square is really, I think, the most important square in the Sicilian. So this is like a lazy way to play. I see it all the time, and it's playable, and it's not great, but you're giving up the d5 square, and that's the main problem. He could even play this, to be honest with you. This probably equalizes, if you want to equalize. But this is the principled move. So b takes c. Yeah, you have to play bishop e3. If you want to move knight, you should move it to like here, or back here, maybe to e2. This is also a move. Both of these are moves. Typically, you'll play g3, like someone played against me this week. Was that Blue Eyes? Was that you who played that against me? Knight e2 g3 type of line. Someone played this Fianchetto Dragon against me with knight e2 this week. Zen Chess? Who was that? No, not Zen Chess, someone else. But anyways, this is an important principled thing. You do not trade on c6 in most cases on the white side of the open Sicilian. This is a big mistake. Takes here. Okay, you had to point out I lost the game. That wasn't my question. I just asked if you played it. So bishop c4. Yeah, I mean, there's a line that goes like this where black has to play like his knight's on f6 already, and you have to play like e5 and lose a tempo, put the knight back on g8 like a Manhattan or whatever Brooklyn variation of the Alekhines or Aliakin's defense. But here this is really not a big problem for black, I think, to protect. d6. So Voya must know this because he played queen a5. That's apparently a move. I would have played something like simpler. There may be a problem here. Queen f3, and then knight f6, and then e5. Probably this isn't dangerous though. Well, this guy Zhang Pengqiang, that I was talking about, actually beat an Arkiev in this position. Not your styles in chess, yeah. Check here. But I mean, it's like similar to the King's Indian attack or something. Those lines, you know. Probably the most positional way you can play in the open Sicilian. Paranik has a game from 2013. That guy's quite good. He's now like 2,500. He did really well, and he was second in the World Junior, I think. Played very well here in Hungary in some open tournaments too. This guy, Paranik. I think he finished after Moksudlu in the World Junior, second place this year. But anyway, this is Zhang Pengqiang against Inarkiev. That's kind of a weird line. I mean, shouldn't black be alright there after queen takes c6 check? Yeah, in fact, fully equal according to the engine after bishop d7. So anyway, Voya knows his own line, so he doesn't want to do that. He wants to play something trickier, threatening to win a piece here. In the event of queen f3, what's going on? It's funny. I mean, I wouldn't want to trade my bishop on c3 here. It's funny that Martha Fierro has a game with black. It's funny that queen a5, then you have to play knight f6 anyway. It's kind of weird. Something's weird about that. I thought there'd be something fancy for black, but not. So I don't know. Queen a5, queen f3. This is the game. Now knight f6, and now bishop d2. We have to play bishop d2? Is it absolutely necessary? Looks like these other guys castled. Has the dragon structure, that great pawn structure where everything's like a snake formation and they all protect each other. That's the beauty of this opening for black. The pawns protect one another, and there's never any like pawn weaknesses. So castles. Instead, you played bishop d2, which is a new move. New to you. And then Voya played queen h5. I guess this is like a fast simul. He likes endgames, I suppose. Now you play queen d3. There are other squares available too. Queen g3. You could trade queens and be approximately equal. I don't like this particularly because you took on c6. I think that gives black the better structure, the one big island. But also black's knight is bad on h5. He loses time here. So objectively, white is probably okay. But instead you avoided trading. We talked about you like not respecting your king safety in another game. And the king is still in the center, and I'm a little concerned about that right about now. Castles, and then, you know, if castles knight g4 is not a big deal, well, maybe it is a big deal because knight g4, knight e5 actually. So again, your king is here in the center, and black has chances to pop you with d5. That's a very dangerous move, but probably Voya doesn't like that kind of thing. You know, too much calculation. 60 simul. Yeah, d5 is actually logical. You might be able to play rook d8 to pin white. Your king is stuck in the center a little bit too long here. And I'm scared. I'm a little scared of castling queenside because honestly, the b file is going to be a problem. I would have preferred to castle kingside, but I'm not sure if we can manage it or not. If castle kingside, I was concerned about this. But apparently, you have a saving device. If h3, black has a good game after knight e5. This is just winning the bishop pair for nothing. Money for nothing and your bishops for free. That's just a good position for black. But he could play, or you could play queen g3. And apparently this would have been the best. Keep the concrete, safe structure. Get your king to a safe location. I can't overestimate, you know, king safety enough. I can't even begin. This is hard though. You'd have to calculate this, and then like f4 is kind of weakening, so you have to play this. You have to find a very, very narrow path here to be like slightly better or not worse. But f3 leaves your king kind of a question mark. d6, castles queenside. And now it's like a normal dragon, except he's got the b file, which is a huge asset. That's a line you don't normally get. Normally it's the c file that black is attacking down in the dragon. The b file is a little more direct. It's almost like he's playing for cheapos with the queen e5. Interesting. Yeah. f4. He wants to trade queens. He's an experienced player who has comfort and feels like his in-game skills are good. So even if he gives you a tempo or two, he's trying to clarify. He's probably playing a lot of boards. So you avoid the trade of queens. Queen b6. h4 going all in on the king side. And now knight f6. Yeah, I didn't expect knight f6. I mean, the knight left the king side to go to the queen side. There was a migration. And there are bad hombres coming over here down the b file. Bad hombres coming all along there. It's an invasion. An invasion on the border on the queen side. But no, h4... Knight f6 is kind of weird. It seems like inconsistent. And you fell for some sort of cheapo here. Actually, he doesn't do it. He played g5, he has bishop g4 winning the exchange. Does that not work for some reason? You have a queen sack. Oh my god, dude. You have this. The three... Oh no, the three pieces for the queen. What is this? I thought we had this. We don't have this because it's mate. Oh no. Mr. Bill. There's a mate there. That's insane. So, but even if you didn't have that, you can actually do this and just have enough stuff. No, it doesn't work. Okay. Never mind. I got excited. But no, it doesn't work. So anyways, G5, bishop G4. We're going to just move the queen somewhere, like here. And that's the point, I guess. If bishop takes D1, now we get 2 pieces for the rook. And that's why it's bad for black. That's not easy to see, though. You know, I'm not sure he saw that, but he just played safe. Maybe he saw it. Queen F3. Depends on how much time he has for each game. Rook B8. Yeah, this is a really tough piece. Though you might be able to play C5, C4, or A5, A4. It's sometimes hard to get that with black. And I should point out that it looks like you had a much stronger move. F5 here. Rather than G5, if you had played F5, you know, this appears to be much better, blocking his, like, kind of stifling his bishop on the C8, H3 diagonal. This was maybe much better. Alright, let's move it along. This game's taking pretty long. We're going to get to as many games as we can, guys. We have like an hour and a half left in the stream. 1 hour's in. Knight H5, Queen F3, good move. Rook B8, good move, only move. And then Bishop E6. This doesn't do much. You've got the rock on B3. It happens in the Caro-Kann sometimes. White has a bishop on G3 in the GF Caro-Kann. Same concept. Super defender. Yeah, this is a debate now, which way to take back. I think in a vacuum, you normally take back toward the center. But in Sicilian, sometimes you do have to take back. Sometimes it's safer to take back with this capture. So this is not an easy decision. Yeah, the one drawback of F5 is that it cedes the E5 square to black. But he's not really, you know, happy with the knight on H5, I'll tell you right now. So you stopped his knight. Another interesting move is like Rook H3, because sometimes the rook has like lateral possibilities. I'm not sure, you know, what E6 really does. It might create another weakness for black, but he wanted to play C5 or something. He's keeping D5 under control, so he can play C5, but I would think this E6 would become a liability. This is, you went right for it. Nice game, though. Nice game. Yeah, here again, I don't know. Maybe take a timeout to put the king on B1. I'm not sure if that's safer. There doesn't seem to be an easy way to break through, though. It's really classic English dragon type of position. Very hard to break through. You played Queen G4. Now it looks like your best chance is to break through on F7 somehow. Guys, please support the stream. Subscribe. I'd like to thank everyone who's subscribed to the channel. Also, check out my videos on my YouTube channel. We do upload all the streams to the videos on YouTube, Video Chess Training on YouTube. If anyone's interested in taking private lessons, I've got a couple openings at the moment. I often don't, so if you've been thinking about taking chess lessons and you're interested, send me an email, videochesstrainer@gmail.com. Alright, rook on D to E1. Not sure what we're doing here. A5. Meanwhile, he's trying to break through over there. Now it takes. Generally a bad move. Looks like you should be targeting F7, though. Guven Kurt. How's things in Budapest? Yeah, like right there he had C5, which I thought was a good plan anyway, because he really ought to try to break you down with C4, but he'll have to move his queen. He'll have to take time to move his queen anyway. Queen A6, a la Reshevsky. He likes endgames, apparently. Now now you're seeing a lot of exchanges. His knight is bad on H5. Remember that. You know, you really ought to like not be afraid to trade queens. Now his queen is very, very dominant in this position. Queen G1. I'm not sure where we're going from there. That's the suggestion of the computer. Going to a7. Ah, that could be nasty. Hard to find that. Good game, though. Yeah, this move may be, like, really bad, though. You gotta try to... I thought this was your point. Try to break through. And according to the engine, white is hanging on here. Though I don't know. You know, it's still looking like your knight is getting pushed away from c3. And your king might be difficult to protect. But again, I think we see another game where Ignis's king is a little bit sketchy. Think about the king safety a little bit more every game. c5, knight g3. Ironically, you trade off his bad knight, but I understand it was kind of interfering. Rook takes, and then he misses a good move there with c4, keeping you in the game. Rook d3, a4, very sharp, h5. Yeah, I mean, this feels like you're hanging on by threads here at this point. You're literally hanging on by a thread, and there's no time to play h5. I don't know, king c2, something like that. Just try to batten down the hatches, I would say, instead of attacking. You know, attacking's not really... Budapest is missing me. I might not get there till the winter time, till after the New Year. Might not get back to Budapest till after New Year. And here, white just kind of freaked out, but it's obviously falling apart. He has quite the ugly structure, quite the dangerous king position, but you have to take back here and do your best to try to survive. It looks like you're losing a pawn. h5 was too much. It just puts your position over the edge. You just didn't have enough control, and this is crushing. That's a weird move, rook b5, but he's hitting the pawn. That's creative. Creative. I would have gone with, yeah, the rook f8, probably. Creative move. Now you just missed it. Alright, so this is lost now. Nils, don't worry, I didn't know. You're absolutely, like, near the end of the line. I'm not sure we're going to get to that. We've got, like, 14 or 13 games. So don't worry. This is over. Draw by stalemate. What? What? It says draw. Why does it say 1/2, checkmate? What's up with that? You think he ignores you? Take back. Alright, take back. Don't troll me again, like last time with that. I submitted a game at the last second. No, don't do that to me. Alright, so next is Percy. No, next is Yabatis. We're gonna have to go through the games a little faster because we've got a lot. And I apologize, I might not get to all of them. So this is Yabatis Amazon attack. Classical chess. This is AI level 1 versus Yabatis. So let's take a look here. AI level 1. It should be easy, right? d4, d5. Queen d3. I like that. That's creative. Are there really no games with this? What? That's surprising. The game was from Ignis, not Take Back. But I'm surprised this has never been played in the opening Explorer here. I mean, it's probably been played, just not by strong enough players to qualify. You have to be 2,200 FIDE to qualify for the opening Explorer. In ChessBase, you can find games of this. If you get to the point where you're like a master, you should get a professional database of some kind. You know, the lichess opening Explorer, not quite enough. I mean, Bob, Queen d3 is not great, but it's probably, you know, you're white, you can afford to make one weird move. g6. I mean, it's not a correct move, but it's also like you've got that extra tempo. So how bad can it be? You know what I mean? Your queen it's a little weird. So now the queen looks good, but it's a tempo, right? Knight f6. How bad can white be here? Scandinavian. It's a weird Scandinavian. What is the Google attack? Sounds like a Jeopardy question. Bishop g7. Queen e5. Okay. That's level 1. This is just a blatant violation of opening principles now. Double question mark. Queen e5. Knight c6. Bishop e5. Ah, that's the trick. But still, bishop d7. And now queen c5. Oh, it just likes moving its queen. So now Yabatis has a nifty tactic with knight takes d4. But he didn't see that. Not easy to cite this, right? Knight takes d4. If queen takes d4, bishop takes b5, bishop queen takes. So he just castled, principled move, and then knight f3. Now the pawn's protected. So now knight e4. Queen a3. This is programmed to move its queen. Every single other move, basically. And Yabatis could have just taken this pawn here, fearing some kind of trap or something. He didn't take it. There's nothing really for white after that. So he plays instead knight back. This is passive and blocking your own pressure down the d-file. I mean, if white gets to play like c3, well, you're on the bishop. Okay, I understand. It's actually not bad. I was expecting bishop takes c6. Bishop takes c6, bishop takes c6. Yeah, I'm definitely expecting Yabatis to take on b5 here, and then play a6, and then try to take the pawn on d4. Apparently he has a tactic where you can even take on d4 right away. Well, actually you don't need a tactic, you just take it straight up. So he didn't see that, he played a6. Then the thing took. So he failed to win that pawn, but he still has like a large strategic advantage. The white queen is misplaced. d5. Knight b5. Interesting move, and best according to the engine. And now queen b4, because it had to move its queen again. Knight, nice game. Knight takes c3. B takes c3. Right, and now I would have played, or I would have at least thought about playing bishop b5, but this is just strong. You should queen takes d5. Unfortunately, he gets to castle, but come on. I mean, this is horrible for white. Broken pawns, bishop pair. Very powerful diagonal for the queen and bishop. Bishop takes. That's not as good as queen takes, which develops a piece, right? h3, and then c5. This is a weird, sort of cheapo attempt against the artificial intelligence. It will not take that pawn and allow you to go like rook c8 and bishop takes c3 check, winning its rook. But I think that you should just snap this definitely here. Keep it nice and clear. White's structure is decimated. He's down a pawn. The king's still in the center. Everything is wrong with white's position after that. So Yabatis, I think he should have simplified. But he doesn't want to simplify. He wants to make the queen move again. Alright, he got this anyway. Pawn takes. Oh, no. Oh, no. Bishop g5. That's level 1. Okay. Thank you for the piece. Rook g1. Queen d5. Looks pretty good. Another piece. Here, queen c1. And it's just a mop-up operation. Another, oh, now the queen. We're going to take that here. And I know this looks stupid. We win all the pieces. Rook fd8, queen b3. That's a king. Queen d5 check. King b2. But I will tell you, when it's all said and done, this was Yabatis playing blindfold. So it wasn't just a straight-up game. You know, he wanted to submit this. He wanted to submit this not because it was just beating on level 1, but it was an attempt at training with the Stockfish level 1 playing as black here. Black was playing blindfold. So I think that when you see that fact, it's a different story. It was really quite game. Yeah, quite good. Quite game. Quite good. Good. Impressive. Impressive for a blindfold game. I thought that was good, man. Good job. So we've got Yabatis is out. We've got Percy and Nefedov next. Yeah. Camel culture. Not camel culture. The other camel. Spectacular camel. So this is Percy Hepworth playing white here. I think that is good, Laluo. Yeah, I think that it could be very useful. Also chess 960. I find chess 960 to be frustrating, but I think it is good for you, and I think that playing blindfold is good for you. A good training method. So Percy Hepworth White, his English, he's quite good. Yeah, it improves your visualization. I agree. Your opponent is 2050 FIDE. Okay, we'll just disregard these ratings. Yeah, I'm always surprised how popular this bishop c5 stuff is. Alright, a5. a5 may be popular in the Joko piano, according to Nefedov. But that's just a strange move. It has a bunch of followers here. Wow. That is crazy. Nikolai Vlasov, who I think might be a GM, and a bunch of other guys. That is strange. I mean, White's not even playing b4 yet. How can 5 people have played a5? That's really bizarre. I mean, White hasn't even played a3 or rook b1 yet. I mean, that is just weird. a6 is surely like a totally normal move to just preserve the diagonal. Even Carlsen has a game, wow, from 2016. You're welcome for the analysis, guys. We'll get to as many games. a5 is very strange. I mean, it seems like unnecessarily weakening the b5 square. e3. Ubatis is playing White in this game too. No, he also plays the system. So d6, knight on gd2. Yeah, now here, if it wasn't for a5, I mean, I would consider going, you know, with the h5. That's a typical strategy, actually. I used this in a blitz game the other day. I mean, maybe you want to play like 97 and develop a little bit first. But I think that h5, it's a very legitimate plan that's been used by some strong players in these type of lines. Of course, we wouldn't normally have played a5. We would play a6. Okay, f5. f5 not quite as good. I like it better to do h5, h4 here. Well, f5 is reasonable. Castles into it. The problem is always never knowing whether you should play like d4 or not in such positions. If we did do d4 though, we could really meet them in the center. I'm curious what the engine says here. I feel like we should react in the center. So the computer is kind of torn between castles and d4 finally. It thinks they're both good. I don't know. I feel like d4 is more proactive. h4. No, the problem with h3 is this whole thing, you know, is kind of anti-h3. If you try to do like a Saruman sort of thing, that's the problem. Like, I like to do h3 normally, but then they do like h4, g4, and f5. Maybe they should do that, you know, first have their knight on e7 or whatever. But the problem is going to be f5. And black does get some counterplay in those type of positions with the f5. And that's the crazy kind of attacking plan that Moksudlu was like trying to do in the World Junior. It's not unrealistic. The beauty of this is that White can't play knight to f3 and stop h4 because the knight's already on e2. So anyway, I don't know if it's better to castle or play d4, but it's like a weird Grand Prix attack. Now d4, you gotta strike here. Bishop a7. Yeah. So now the a5 stops b4. That's kind of an interesting thing because sometimes b4 can be a very strong move in the Grand Prix attack. In this type of position, b4, if it wasn't for a5, could be a very valuable idea because you can't take it because of queen a4 check, and then you win a piece. So it's almost like a5 makes some sort of weird, strange sense. Although, you know, you do have this move in this type position, which might be useful at some point. So the weakening of the b5 square, it does seem relevant. You took on c6, though. Very risky about your king side. I know that there are plans where you can take on c6 and kind of kill the bishop on a7 and stuff, but I don't think I really like this, taking on c6 and having all those weaknesses around my king on the king side. I don't think I'm down with that. But he is forcing the endgame. Okay, he is forcing the trade. He is forcing the trade of pieces here. Interesting. Okay. Bishop takes c6. B takes c. D takes e5. D takes e5. Queen takes d8. I mean, as long as the queens are off the board, there's no immediate danger. But I have seen a position very, very similar to this, like last year, where black had adequate, like kind of adequate compensation. So I'm not sure. If we could kill the bishop on a7 with c5, cement it in there like permanently, we'd have a really good game. But I'm not convinced about this. It was risky to trade the bishop. Check, king e7, b3, Systematic. The problem is if you play knight a4, you leave the e4 square open, obviously. That's the very natural blockading plan that you want to go for. So here. Yeah, he went to shut down the bishop. The problem with this, though, is that it's giving up the d5 square. And it obviously kills your own bishop on a3, so it might even be not the best. Just double the rooks first. I'm still uncomfortable, though. Your king is not near the center. It's an endgame. His bishops are sort of lurking there. You have some weaknesses around the king side. So I think I'm not on board with bishop takes c6. This is getting... I wouldn't want to play a computer here. I would just probably resign if I was white and playing a computer. You better hope you're playing a human. Knight a4, it's feeling like lichess is playing black right about now. Maybe that's why. I had a similar structure against lichess. One of those bots. One of the Lila bots. When I was white and somebody challenged me to a game. Yeah, there was an endgame, not that different. A Dutch type of endgame. This looks awful for white now. How bad is our position? Minus 1.5, 1.3. It feels like you're playing Lila. HG, HG. Seriously. Just over. Any resemblance between this game and lichess is purely coincidental. Well, Lila played well, though. That was annihilating. But very similar to a game I had against Lila. Anyway, bishop takes c6 was the beginning of the problems. Let's go on to the next game. So Nefedov's up next, then Merle. Guys, please support the stream. We accept all major credit cards, donations, bits. Please make a donation to PayPal or support the stream by subscribing. A lot of you guys are subscribers, obviously already. Most of you guys are subscribers, so I want to thank you for that. Clash Kid, Dim, Fishrat Cow, once again, thank you. Next game is Mr. Merle. No, Nefedov, then Merle. Alright, Nefedov's up next. Interesting game, Percy Hepworth. Oh no. No, not the game with you, with me. He puts my game in there. Alright. Let's look at it from Nefedov's side. Merle with 100 bits and Percy Hepworth with 102. So, outdoing Merle for the day. 102. Thank you so much, guys. Super. Okay, this is my game with white against Nefedov from the casual classical simul on Sunday. I forgot he plays the Latvian. Sorry, Schliemann. Whatever. It's all the same. No, it's better than Latvian. Seriously. I'm trying to incite a bit war. I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit war. We had one, I think last subscriber stream, actually. We need Clash Kid, Juicebox, S4, all the regular. Need Rami to come back. Haven't seen him in a while. He was very supportive last year, or earlier this year, excuse me. But knight to c3 is the main line. And now f takes e4 is not the only move. Nefedov swears by this, but I think that knight f6 is also, kind of interesting possibility. Probably f takes e is the best. F takes e, knight takes e4. And so Pavel here always plays d5, but I think that knight f6 is actually probably the best move for black. And honestly, like, Nefedov, you should put this in your repertoire. I think this is, like, according to the engine and according to, well, I always thought it was better, to be honest, according to me and according to the engine. Like knight f6, but anyways, I don't see, an easy path for white here after d5. Dubious, according to the engine. So if you know of a way to get an advantage, if anybody here knows a way to get an advantage against this system, let me know, because I don't know it. It looks good. Knight takes e5, all that jazz with these piece sacrifices. A very old position that's been around since the beginning of time. Absolutely not sure. Let's start a bit war. Spectacular Camel donates 5. Starting small, but we've got a lot of bits we can donate. So d5, knight takes e5 is the main line. It's a very sharp line. If you guys don't know this, it's extremely old. Now I wanted to look something up, Pavel. According to was it this position? I thought there was some analysis with this. B takes c. Bishop takes c6 check. Bishop d7. No, this can't be right. This is just bad for black. I saw a strange reference to this from Bronstein in 200 Open Games. Is this actually possible? Maybe like this wasn't known or something. See, like bishop takes a8. Queen takes a8 is apparently good for black. This is pivotal, so you've got to have this check on h5. If not, then white just doesn't have anything. King e7. Queen e5 check. Let's just take a look. Bishop e6. And now bishop takes a8. An improved version. But the black king is just not good. Queen takes c7 check. Well, I could go on forever here. Zen chess donating. So maybe we did start a bit war. So Michael Adams won a game here in 1993. It doesn't look like it's really reliable. But still, maybe not outright refuted. Let's see, king e8. Castles. Michael Adams versus Ferron Garcia. Knight f6. Not a fun position for black, but maybe not outright losing. Anyway, I just wanted to analyze that while we were here. Instead of going into the craziness, I like to play knight to g3. This is Anatoly Karpov's move, but I think that it's just maybe not enough for white, really, to get an edge. Let's see. So, bishop g4, h3, bishop takes f3, Karpov Lautier, you can see there. This is a well-known game. Knight f6. We've had some other games with Nefedov here. Now I castled. And apparently knight h5 is considered better. Knight h5, queen d6 is the main line. But I get bored and I want to try some different stuff. So Zen Chess, thanks for the bit donation. Move 11 says, hey Zen Chess, was that you on Jan's Banter Blitz for Chess 24? Zen Chess? You might be able to get a cheap copy on eBay of what? Bronstein 200 Open Games. Yeah. So, definitely around somewhere. So instead I castled here, which is less common. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with this. This is what Karpov played. It just feels weird to play knight h5 so early. Bishop d6, and now knight h5. Basically, I guess, transposing. Look at white's score. I mean, it's very good, but I'm not convinced. Like, I can't find a real advantage. e4, knight takes f6 check, queen takes f6, and here I play queen takes f6, g takes f, and then d3. And so we're following Karpov versus Lautier, 1994. The truth is out there. Just like the X-Files. But Pavel here played f5. Wow. This was played Parkani against Mejaros Tamash. A very young Mejaros Tamash in 1999. So this is like a first Saturday IM tournament or some kind of Hungarian team championship. A6 or f5. Pavel plays f5, and now I play d takes e4, which is the best move according to the engine. Parkani Attila playing c4, which is a very interesting move, no doubt. Uh-oh, the video stopped. The engine, oh my god. Sorry, it's the chess engine. Yeah, of course I know, and anybody. I know everyone from Hungary. But these are guys that I've played before. I mean, Mejaros played just once. I played Parkani a couple times. They're both IMs. Although this time, Mejaros was still young. So Parkani is like a veteran IM, and Mejaros is pretty good. He's a younger guy. He's strong. 2,400 FIDE. So anyways, c4 is an interesting move. I don't know what the best move is. Now there's movement on the screen. Yeah, I had to turn the engine off. So I played d takes e4. The computer is claiming this is the best move. But it's difficult to decide. Parkani played the c4 looks dynamic. I agree. But d takes e4. And so, in accuracy, the best move was d takes e4, according to the engine. And I'd like to play f3 if I can, but it's not, I don't know what's going on there. So, what inspired by Futurama? There's Leela Chess. I shall come up with Fry Chess, a chess engine that plays Hope Chess. This is apparently a mistake, and I played c4. And I thought I was a genius for coming up with this, but Nefedov really played well. Castles, c takes d5, and he comes up with this knight d4 thing. Bishop c4, b5, and it all hinges on this tactic. Bishop e3. I don't know if I have another alternative here for white. Like, what am I supposed to play? Bishop b3. Can I simply put my bishop on b3? I wasn't sure. I decided to sack the exchange here with knight c2 and then take here. And I guess the engine liked it. But what I didn't think was that Nefedov did what he was... I didn't think he was going to do what he did, which was basically to not take the exchange. But this was a brilliant... I thought a brilliant idea to take here. Because after he takes the exchange, I have a nice solid position. Very strong pawns. I thought I'm better in this endgame with those bishops looking really strong on c6 particularly. I figure I'm at least equal here with some small winning chances. But Nefedov instead... kind of a genius thing. He like just doesn't take the exchange, goes in the opposite color bishops, and I was in bad time pressure, down to 4 minutes here, so I really didn't have the time to play this as accurately as I would really need to, and even if I did, I'm probably not quite winning. So this is an important game, Nefedov, theoretically, you know, probably a good job for black to hold this. And in fact, I think I almost lost because I got a little bit... I felt like I was in danger of losing. You know, allowing e2, you have pressure on g2. And this is very unpleasant to have to play this for white. You know, it looks like I'm on the verge of losing. But apparently I'm okay. I just played b3 and offered a draw. The engine says it really is 0. So good game. Good game, Nefedov. Juicebox, what's up? What's up, guys? Thank you guys for supporting the stream and subscribing. We have 50 minutes left in the stream. We're going to go to Merle anyway. Very interesting theoretical battle there, Nefedov. Good job from you. Creative solutions to modern problems with Pavel Nefedov. So let's go with the next game here. Not my browser, but Merle Dixon. The unbeatable, or almost unbeatable, Merle Dixon. He suggested a Grandmaster game here for our enjoyment. Boris Gelfand against Carlsen. This is from 2016. And Gelfand, was Gelfand world champion or something? Remember that? Gelfand was world champion. Not take anything away from Borja, but he you know, he was one of those weird world champions. So Bob Sacamano said, do all these people submit prior to the stream? Absolutely, Bob. Absolutely. Yeah, we had a lot of submissions this week. The vast majority. Dim, thank you for the bit donation. Clash Kid with 947. Dim with 700 this week. And Merle Dixon with 200. Thank God, a GM game. Alright, so d4, knight f6. We're going to play like Magnus. Now, you know, I'm expecting Gelfand to play the Catalan here. He's really good with the Catalan. And then he doesn't. He goes around and he plays knight c3. That was surprising. You know, the Catalan's so solid. You're playing Carlsen. Yeah. You'll tell on me. Nefedov. He should play the Catalan against Carlsen. Alright, he probably has before. He's probably tried everything. Knight on bd7, and then bishop g5. So we could get... Oh, we do get a... It's a Cambridge Springs. Okay. c6, e3, queen a5. And now, this is the main line starting position for the Cambridge Springs. And it looks like Carlsen is going to have to face, like, you know, the best line. Because Gelfand is extremely well prepared in the openings. This is not a guy, you know, you're going to, like, get an advantage against out of the opening. Carlsen's job is to equalize and then somehow hope that Gelfand makes a mistake in the later stages of the game. Because you're never going to get an advantage against him with black. And it's hard to do with white, you know. So Magnus decides to play the Cambridge Springs. Gelfand plays the best line. I always played knight d2. That's like the old school. But I think that this line is actually best. C takes d5. So I'm coming around to that realization. There's a game, ironically, Carlsen against Mamedyarov with the white pieces in 2014. We see this game there. And then, you know, that's that. So CD. Surprisingly, you can take with the e-pawn, I noticed. This looks stupid. And I once did this, and a friend of mine criticized me very heavily. But if you notice here, look, there's a whole bunch of games. Tomaszewski versus Win, Bakro, Freycinet, Salem versus Naidich, Moisenko against Win again. So this is actually possible, as strange as it seems, to play e takes d, a move that a friend of mine, I'm not going to mention any names, who made fun of me for playing that. But anyway, c takes d5, knight takes d5. This is our main line. And then now we have to protect on c3. This is the most promising... It subs only today, JBW. Who's JBW? Where's JBW? Juicebox Wizard. Oh, Juicebox Wizard's not a sub. He forgot. We thought he was a subscriber. He let his subscription lapse. It's alright, Bob. You're mean, Bob. Alright. Rook c1. Knight c3. Sorry, knight takes c3. B takes c. Bishop a3. This is apparently theory. And then rook c2. I mean, is there another way for black to play? Bishop b4. It seems to me. Yeah, I was like JCW, JCS. We have JCS. There's no JCW. But bishop b4, I thought was like the critical line, but this may have some problems. This Navarra game here with black. This is interesting. Mamadjarov won against Ding Liren in 2012. Maybe I would prefer bishop b4. Magnus just takes. B takes c. Bishop a3, rook c2. And so this much has all been like memorized. Carlsen winning game in 2014. The next year playing white. So that tells you something. Magnus plays black, like wins against Gelfand, then turns around and plays Gelfand's side. Does that tell you something? It tells me something that he was impressed with White's position here in the opening, which is no surprise because Gelfand knows what he's doing. Bishop a6, castles, bishop d3. Juiceboxers are challenging me. He's challenging me to some casual now. We can't play now, Juicebox. We're doing game analysis. No games today. I'm too tired for that. We're just doing brutal analysis, mind sapping, thought, and no blitz. Bishop takes d3, queen takes d3. Brain numbing analysis. Castles and e4. So guys, thanks everybody for tuning in. We got 42 viewers. I swear to God, I almost beat Carlsen when he was like 14 or 15 in an ICC Simul. Wow, you were better. 2 + 2. Wow, that's amazing. I almost drew him. Let's see, e4. So, wow, only one game where this position has been reached. But the majority of people made less like committal moves. Rook b1 was played a bunch of times. Bishop h4 was played. And Gelfand's the only one to play e4. But I mean, I had a very similar position with one of my students this morning, actually almost identical. It was 2 pieces traded. White had the better center majority, exactly the same position, more or less, with the black pieces being on slightly different squares. And I told my student, like, you've got all different options, rook b1, e4. You just have like a nice central majority. There's nothing you can do. You can't like attack. You just have to like play, like accumulate like little advantages. And it's funny. It's very, very similar. But e4 is a little committal, yet it has to be a good move. Rook f e8, and then e5. This is very committal now. I mean, I think that Gelfand has a space advantage, and it's probably okay to play e5. But it seems like he's committing quickly, to a very, very concrete structure. And the advantage he has here is he can do almost anything. So e5 is not necessarily the best move. For Juicebox. Alright. So JBW. Bishop h4. Juicebox challenging me to a blitz game, but we're not playing today. He has a European keyboard. I don't know, man. That's weird. Bishop h4, c5. Knight to d2. C takes d4. C takes d4. And then rook on a to c8. Gelfand looking for the squares for his knight here. Knight e4, knight c4. So Magnus does what he's supposed to do. Equalize and then try to play for a win. Wow, that's a nice tactic. So that's his way of defending a3. f4. Bob, you're provoking again. Rook c7. So Gelfand goes off, like trying to bust Carlsen with f4, f5 now. He's like all tied on the c file. That's amazing. Nice game, though, from Merle. Queen takes, so finally. And now Magnus is in technical land. He equalized, and now he's going to take Gelfand out from an equal position. Unbelievable. How is Gelfand going to lose this position? Bishop f2. Queen c7. Hard to believe that black is clearly worse. I mean, white is clearly worse. And it's going to lose this game. There is the possibility of b5, knight b6, knight d5 with a strong knight getting to d5. But, I mean, despite bad bishop, Gelfand should not lose this position. Rook c1. He even has the file. Queen b7. Queen d6. Queen d6 is basically like rook c8. What's he going to do on rook c8, actually? Magnus doesn't trade rooks. Practical decision or best move? Is this serious? Like, rook c8 is not the best move. It's an interesting moment where he plays rook c8 and he probably is okay, but he intentionally doesn't trade rooks here. It almost feels like Carlsen doesn't want to trade pieces, even though he knows rook c8 is the best move. Knight f8. That is a strange move, but best according to the engine, g3. And now he does rook c8. I don't know why he hesitated with rook c8, really. I thought he was trying some fancy thing. Rook takes c8, queen takes c8. And look, according to the engine, white is microscopically worse now. All these pawns on the dark squares, but I still can't imagine losing this position. d5, of course, that's what Gelfand was counting on. Getting rid of that stupid pawn that gets in the way of his bishop. The bishop now plays on the diagonal. I mean, this should be a draw. It really should. I mean, maybe the black knight is a little better than the bishop, but there's pawns on both sides of the board. I think Gelfand has to be careful about his king position. I guess the knight and queen get really active. Magnus now just tries to create an outpost for his knight on f5. He also has the queenside majority, but it's not that easy to use a queenside majority with a knight. The queenside majority is something that you use with the bishop. Guys, thanks for supporting the stream. Clash Kid, Dim, Merle Dixon, everybody, thanks for subscribing. Juicebox, thanks for resubscribing to the stream, man. Much appreciated. So, how does Carlsen win this? He's just using his Carlsen magic. His magic in endgames that are equal, he wins somehow. This was a weird move by Gelfand now. I think h4. Kind of weird, you know, to fix all the pawns on the wrong color, and the engine actually confirms it's the best move. It thinks it's the best move too. Wow. Do we really have to do that? I mean, is h4 by black an actual threat here? Man, that's rough. Look at this computer position. Minus 0.3 h4 best move. That is ugly to have to put that pawn on this dark square. And a potential knight on f5. Massive Carlsen. Queen a4. He's got the fortress. And then b5. f5. Yeah, he tries to mess with Carlsen now. G takes f5. Queen takes f5. But no, Carlsen just eats a pawn on a3. This is risky what black's doing now. He went all in for these two connected passed pawns on the queen side. Wow. Wow. I mean, his king looks open. That's amazing that the knight is able to fend off all the checks by itself, basically. And Gelfand has a passed pawn, you know, like 4 squares from queening as well. So apparently a5 was a mistake. Queen g4 check, king f8. And then h5 was a mistake by white, though a very, very natural move. He should have like played queen h5 according to the engine, although I don't know what that does. That's a difficult move to play. Okay, he's setting up checks on h8, f6, h8, d7, and then f6. I don't know. There's no real perpetual, you know, so this was a tough position. Gelfand just played h5, and then Carlsen has this, stopping the pawn and making way for his own pawns. Carlsen pawns. I don't know if you saw the other game I submitted 2 weeks ago, where it was Magnus White against Caruana. It was the same thing, 2 connected passed pawns. Pawns must go. And this was actually a blunder, it looks like, by black. A very strangely inactive move that Carlsen decided to play. I mean, that does seem kind of weird. Ironically, the computer says queen c8. There's no way we could find that, like, quickly. Queen c7, queen a8 check here. Now h6, king h7, check. King g8, check. Queen d8. Tricky position now, no more checks. And Gelfand trades into a lost position. Wow. So he's still in the game apparently after queen c6, b3, but that's really awkward. Stretched to the limits of defense for white. He blundered with queen takes d8. and then those two pawns are just too good. Some sort of hallucination, looks like. Although I don't know what kind of time control this was. Could have been like a rapid game. Still not obvious. B3, threatening A3. And now knight C4. Wow, that's pretty. So you have to play king C3 or something. Bishop B4 according to the engine. Everything wins. Wow. Everything wins. And we're just going to eat this pawn on there on H6 with the king. Yeah, amazing. Stockfish lag again. Sorry, guys. We'll turn off the stockfish. There was apparently no way for white to defend, though. Magnus. Knight D2. Not the best move according to the engine. What was the best move here? I have no clue. Knight D2. What's wrong with Knight D2? I mean, basically, he can sack his bishop. Bishop takes, pawn takes, king takes, and then knight C4 check. King moves. Knight takes E5. We're just going to eat all the pawns and win. So, interesting game. Thank you, Merle, for submitting that. Move 11's next. Then Bob. We're going to get to as many of the games as I can. We've got half an hour left. Merle is done. So, move 11. Move 11. This is a recent game played on lichess. I have black. Could not execute in the middle game. Lost in time pressure. Okay, let's take a look. So it's a Sicilian. Knight F3, G6, hyper accelerated dragon, and then bishop C4. Ugh. Yeah, this is a tough move to play against in this line. I think that I also don't really enjoy this. You see, black has a winning score in the opening explorer, but that's just a question of the players that are playing, not the relative value of the opening. I think this is not bad for white. All right, so bishop G7, and this is the most dangerous move. I did have an idea once to play something funky here. Take back submitting a game. Yeah, he's trolling me again. I don't think we're going to get there, take back. But I was wondering if it was possible to play knight F6 here. Just as a kind of off attempt. Turjo. Looks like Attila Turjo has actually played this against Shandor Farago and lost. Knight F6. Just for something weird and totally different. But anyways, bishop G7, C3, now E6, and now white just bails with castles. I mean, D4 is the critical move. CD4, and then, yeah, actually, in this position, I think this exact position, Vaida Levente's brother, Albert Vaida, played knight takes D4 against me. Do you see any wins for black? Knight E7. It wasn't the exact position then. It would be in there. So there was something slightly different against Albert. Like, maybe my knight was already on C6 and he already castled or something. Almost the exact same thing. It's kind of counterintuitive, though. I mean, you would expect mostly people would play CD. There's nothing wrong with CD, but black can meet it with D5. And this is basically probably okay. There's a game, Majub versus Perelstein. Perelstein, who knows this pretty well. But you can also play like a Mora, apparently, castles. And you just don't take the pawn. Tarvo, Seaman, two Estonian players. Knight E7. And then knight takes D4, and that makes some sense. With the knight on E7, it's a weird Khan Sicilian, basically. A6. Bishop G5, interesting. Smirin with the game in 2014. Demchenko. Oh my gosh, there's a game. Wait, it's a my game. Where did it go? One of my games is in there. Did you see that? Hold on a second. I saw one of my games. I swear. I swear I saw one of my games. Wow, it just disappeared. Which position was that? Not here. That's weird. Well, I don't know. We're not going to find it. Anyway. C takes D4, knight takes D4. This is not the game. So Black plays e6, castles, 97, h3. My name is what? Dude, what are you doing? Okay. Here, have a free tempo. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, d5 is fine. It almost makes sense. It's like the h3 actually makes sense in a way after d5, ed, and you don't have bishop g4. You don't have to play d5. You could wait for white to play d4. You know, move 11 here. I'm not sure this is objectively right. Maybe you play this, and you wait for them to play d4. You know, then you hit them with d5 or cd, d5. I don't think there's anything wrong with this, though. I mean, after ed, you could also take with the knight. I mean, I think there's something to be said for taking with the knight here. It's a like less stressful structure. I mean, every time you move a pawn, you weaken your structure to some degree. I think this is like lower risk than pawn takes. Every time I play this kind of structure, I get a crappy position. Here, knight on b to c6, d4. Probably you should just take on d4. You played c4, which is ambitious. Maybe not bad, but you're black. Don't forget, you're not white. You know, it's not easy. Bishop g5 castles, takes. b4, that's a weird move. That doesn't really make a lot of sense. You could take en passant, or you could just leave it. Yeah, I don't get b4. This is a very strange move. I mean, he should really be playing b3 to just break up black's pawn on c4. Queen d6. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with f6, move 11. I think that you ought to be willing to play that, you know, but maybe you saw that and you just wanted to, I don't know. Queen d6 is kind of weird. White can play queen c1 or maybe queen d2 and try to play for bishop f4. Now, this is a weird exchange, but I agree that like the two knights might play better against two bishops than bishop and knight. But I mean, I was expecting actually like something weird like queen c1 maybe, trying to play like bishop f4. That's kind of awkward. And I don't agree with White's decision to play b4 at all. You know, that was a crazy move. But I also think you could probably just play f6 and have a perfectly good game. Even g5 and put your bishop out here on f5 or something like that. There's a lot of possibilities. Don't be afraid to play g5 in this type of position where he's traded off his white square bishop. I agree with Infinite Flash Chess that black is fine, but that doesn't make it easy to decide on the right plans and stuff. Look at this plan. Here. Your bishop will be very powerful in this game, the white square bishop. So I think you should play f6 and g5 there. You did end up... Okay, big deal. Right. And then black is just slightly better here. You've got the file. You've got f5. Yeah, it feels like you have to play for f5 in this position, I would say. You did f5 next move. Now your rook is digested into white's position a little bit. That seems a bit awkward, though maybe it's not a problem. He undermined your pawn on d5. It was kind of crafty. At the end of the day, your king is more exposed than white's king is. So things got a little weird. Though it looks like move 11 is still dominating. Why can't you play like queen b7 or something? Wonder if you could stay on the 7th with queen b7. Why do I think you're trolling? Take back. I don't mean that you're trolling. It's just that you did that thing last week. The problem is that I have 5 other games to analyze in 20 minutes, and you know, it's better if you submit the game earlier. If you wait until the last minute, you're going to be last. and then I can't analyze it. I thought you were trolling me because last week I thought you were trolling me. So it's just that there's too many people asking to analyze games, and there's no time to do like that many. So whoever, it's like first come first serve. Even for subscribers, I can't guarantee I can analyze all the games. That's why I thought you were trolling me, because I thought last week you were joking about it, but maybe it wasn't you. It was somebody else. I'm not sure. Okay, move 11. So here, rook b3, that move, and then you had to retreat. And now the position transforms. White's still very solid, but passive, structurally. But the black king is basically open. Rook b6, a5, that's annoying. And now you give up the file. This is a tough position now. It looks like against all odds, white might be better. Eventually just dropped a piece. So I think there were a lot of chances there, but I think you never made the transition, move 11, from being better to realizing that something was going wrong, and then like making a concrete effort to kind of like try to hold the line. Maybe just try to defend. All right. So let's go to the next game. Sladgie fan, Mr. Bob. Mr. Bob, I've got to go in 20 minutes, guys. We're going to do what we can with the remaining games. Where is Mr. Bob? Where's Sladgie fan here? There he is. All right. Move 11, though, lots of chances there. I mean, you really had a lot of opportunities, I think. But I'm not sure about d5, objectively, playing it as early as you did. I also have had some bad experiences with that, although I think your position was okay. As I said, like, probably playing f6 and g5 is a really critical idea. Don't have time this week, Bobby. All right, let's see. Aman, Amon. How do you say it? Amon Hambleton against the game, a name I can't pronounce. All right, let's just do it. This is from the Batumi Olympiad. Mr. Bob suggested this game. What is this? 128 chapters of what? Batumi Olympiad. Round 1. Is this like from the Batumi Olympiad? All the games or something? Man. Alright, let's see. So there's got to be more games than that, though. This is, what are we doing this from Black's perspective? Depends on who won. 0-1. Alright, so I don't know too much about Hambleton. He seems like he's had incredible results. Obviously working with Chessbra didn't hurt him. c4, c5, knight f3, g6. I also played this for black. Now e4, bishop g7, d4. We just have a Marazzi. Wow. How do you beat a strong player with black in the Marazzi? What is a 1900? Wow. So this guy's a little underrated. Alex CL, take care. Right, so the white square is infinite flash chess in the last game because the white bishop was gone for white. That's a lot of whites. Bishop e3, knight f6, knight c3. Okay, I know this pretty well. I've literally played like 2,000 games with black. Knight takes d4, bishop takes d4, bishop e6. So here he plays bishop e6. I've never played this move. I've always played either a5 or bishop d7 here. I don't know, what the deal is with bishop e6. I always thought it was like not the right position to play bishop e6. But looking at the results, it does almost as well as bishop d7. So this is a plan I haven't used myself in this exact position. Bishop e6. And now white played rook e1, which is definitely a weird move. No clue what that does. I'm sure it has a point. It can play along this file somehow. Looks like it has a good score from the few times it has been played, but it's not a classic plan. I mean, typically it's like queen d2, b3, rook c1 or rook b1 and rook c1 or rook c1 and rook d1, and maybe the rook stays there to support f4, f5. I mean, that would be more classic. So rook e1, kind of a weird move. Looks like he's going to try some tricks with e5 or something. Queen a5. I was expecting this, the main move most commonly played. Rook c8 doesn't do a whole lot because you're just playing b3. Now he does this a6 here, rook c8, then knight d5. So this is basically Hamilton's plan, to play like some kind of very, very straightforward, direct pressurizing of e7. If you take on d5, you're helping white here. You know, he's really looking for that, to capture on d5 and take back with the e pawn, and that pressure along the e file. So knight d7, bishop g7, king g7. We're following this game, Saric ante, against Milan Murgia. Now white played queen d4 check. Actually, white played queen d4 check in the other game, so a4 was played here. For me, a4 doesn't seem necessary. Black's not really threatening b5, is he? So I don't know, what the best move is here. But let's just see what happened. a4, a5, see? Now he wants to do some sort of primitive attacking plan, but I mean, do you do that in the Marazzi? Is there enough pieces on the board to attack like a madman? That's the question. Rook e3. I mean, I was thinking the other rook would do that, Doesn't that seem more logical? To bring the new rook in. Bishop f7, b3. Okay, so he just wants to lock it up. But, like, misplayed by white. I think, really, objectively, his queenside is now blockaded. Zenchess, thank you for the bit donations. So c4, this seems like inferior, from what he should achieve. I mean, really, white's okay now, but he's lost most of his advantage, I think. It's just a really good blockade for black. So what we'll probably see now is, like, white, either overpressing or possibly black getting control of, like, the d4 square with the knight. b1, e6, queen b6. And this is a pretty crazy kind of move. White's obviously having trouble coming up with something. He just hung a pawn here. Wow. I mean, and this is an intentional sacrifice. White just not taking his opponent seriously. Knight takes a4, dropping a pawn. a1, rook a8, knight b5, rook d8, knight c7, and then I mean, I thought we were going to focus here on this pawn on d6, but he can always push d5. He can also play knight to c8. So it looks like white just underestimated his opponent. And then a4, nice job. ba4, knight c4. So it's still not easy to beat a grandmaster even when they drop a pawn. Rook c3, d5. I still think that white has decent chances to hang in there in this game. Knight d4, good blockade. He's only down a pawn. It's backwards. Maybe this is okay. Rook a8, rook b3 here. g7. And black plays for a win. You'd think most 1900s would probably buckle down and take the draw there, but he doesn't. Buckle under, I should say. Buckle down. He did buckle down. Rook b5, rook c7. Trading pieces. Still not an easy position to win at all. Pawns are on the wrong color for both sides, really. Wow. Black's bringing his king to the center. d4 check? How does that even work? So I'm confused. What am I missing here? Oh, f4. What? There's some kind of evil trick? Yeah, that's amazing tactic for a 1900 to come up with. Wow. d4. That just totally devastated white. Wow. It just totally crushed his day. Yeah, now white just lost. He's just down a pawn. And white was crushed. Just totally crushed. Black played amazingly at the end there. Probably not the best technique, but it's 2 pawns up. This should be an easy win. Even for a 1900, there's really no counterplay. Alright, guys. Yeah, the f4 changed everything there. This guy played really, really well. And it's almost mate. White was cagey. He tried to survive, but there's just not enough. So I don't think that black played perfectly. This is apparently a mistake here. And now he has to give up that guy. But it's still enough to win. Wow. Amazing. Okay, so we got a little bit of time left, guys. 15 minutes, and we got to go. So that was Bob's submission. Zen Chess, Nils, and Chesstosterone. We're going to do what we can here in 15 minutes. Zen Chess. Game for subscriber stream. This is Correspondence Chess. Zen Chess is black. Alright. This is Correspondence. Well, what is this really? So, let's flip it around. I hate the Catalan. I like to play it. I mean, I don't like playing against it. It's very unpleasant. Hurry, hurry. Yeah, I'm doing my best. So, Bishop G2, D takes C4, open Catalan. I think if you were playing a low-rated player, maybe like playing the closed Catalan for black for a win is objectively better. Let me close some windows here. So, castles, Bishop D7. What is that? You know, castles is, of course, like universal. This is a very strange move, but okay, he wants to play bishop something weird with Bishop C6. Knight E5, Bishop C6. It has been played. You know, you see it in other positions where white goes like Queen A4 check, typically. But not like unprovoked. You want to brag about beating a 24. Okay. So now we've like transposed into some other line, apparently. That's weird. How did we get transposed? I like white, I gotta say. This pawn is gonna die, and white's gonna have the bishop pair, it seems like. I mean, at the end of the day, that bishop is unopposed power. Black just doesn't have a white squared bishop. Man, this is not a pleasant endgame, but maybe you should trade queens. He did that? He gave the pawn back just without reason. Wow. So that's strange. I don't see anything either. I mean, what does he have, and what do you have after f4? Some attacking chances with h5. But I can't imagine giving it back. Wow, he was scared, so he does this and sacks back the pawn. Okay, it's like no risk for white, but it seems kind of a chicken move to do that. Now he's not up, you know, he's not up anything. And okay, you do have a bad structure, but you have better development. It would be nice to keep the king in the center here. Possibly f7. But castles is probably okay. Knight e4. This is awkward. Move 11 had a very awkward structure like this in a Catalan not that long ago. This is much better than that, though. This is a travesty. So you fix your structure, and after this, it looks like you're okay. Well, he has a tactic, bishop takes g7. I don't know about this, you know, it's kind of unclear. But he gets 2 pawns and the rook for the... Yeah, that could be kind of a problem. Oftentimes in these endgames like this, I mean, this is the problem, you know, here. 2 pawns and a rook is really problematic in endgames many times. Although I don't know this is easy. There would be, I would think, like very good chances for white to win. You have to play like knight e8. This is lucky that you're not losing any more material, but I don't know. That looks very scary. King f7. So b4, giving you a huge square at c4. And you just played bishop f6. I mean, natural to trade the strong bishop off. I think that black is so happy he's not losing that he's like, okay, anything's good. But probably you had even maybe like chance to play for something. Magnus would play for a win somehow. I don't know. But this is equal. Yeah, you're fine now. A little bit backward on the c file, but you can stick your knight on c4, so it's not a problem. This should be, yeah. This should be equal. Exactly. Your king is better now. So black's even better because of the king position at the end of the day. He just keeps exchanging pawns, even though it's like slightly favorable to you. It's like the third time he did that. The white has the outside pawns here. White just kind of blundered and eventually just melted down. The knight is trapped. Okay, weird game at the end though. It was like you were worse, then you were equal, then he just self-disintegrated. Alright guys, last games. Nils and then Testosterone. Alright, Nils, Testosterone. We got 10 minutes. Less than 10 minutes. Nils is like, hurry up. Alright. Nils is playing what color here? I am white. Black is 2150. Okay. B6, good to see that. Bishop d3. And now queen e2. You play knight f3. It's best to play queen e2. You don't want to get your knight on c3 pinned. This is clearly the best line for white. Knight f3 is okay, but it's like a slight inaccuracy. Now he played g6. Interesting. So he's just going to go into hippo. I never thought about doing that, honestly, because I play b6 sometimes here. It's as good as an idea as any. You see, like, Christian Bauer play black in the game 2016, beat a solid player. Bauer plays b6 all the time. I think he wrote a book on it. H4, H6 should be played. It's like almost mandatory, actually. But doesn't. Uh-oh. Well, here, dude, if you're given the chance to play h5, you should always do it. If you play h4, he doesn't play h6, you should probably definitely play h5. So that was silly. He gave you a really golden opportunity to do that. Now it's not possible again. Yeah, you shouldn't have missed that chance. Now we just have some kind of weird... This is pretty good, though. Weird position. This is pretty good. So why did he go knight f6? I mean, this is just a stupid move. If you play the hippo, you're supposed to play h6. You're supposed to play h6 and a6 always. Like, these moves are just universal, mandatory hippo moves. Very, very stupid. So he gives you this. Powerful. Now it's like a good c3 Sicilian or something. It's a good queen pawn game, whatever it is. You got all kinds of attacking chances. h5, justified. Queen d7. This guy's 2150 too. Wow. Just preventing him from castling. Just all because he omitted the move h6. Now what to do? d6. So he can't take back because of knight e4. I mean, is it sure? He can't recapture this? Well, I mean, at least he can try, right? I mean, it may look ugly, but what are we going to do? You got to at least try this for black, no? It's looking bad, but he should have attempted it to defend that, right? Just c takes d6, so he just... Yeah. Weird. So this is the game. Wait a minute. C takes d6, knight e4. Okay, I'm sorry. So this is the game. H takes g6. H takes g6. Rook takes h8. Bishop takes h8. Now you didn't do knight e4. You could win a pawn, it looks like. Clearly, with that move. So you missed your golden opportunity, and then there. And now you're just better, but you're not winning a pawn anymore. So that's the problem. Then knight a3, we're not happy about this. This is bad. This is bad. We got kicked out. So here, you know, still like, don't want to put your knight on a3. That's a disaster. Yeah. You're lucky if you survive that. He missed apparently b4. He's probably wondering how he's still alive after playing the opening badly. a6, rook h1, castle's queenside. And now you've got pressure again. Computer apparently has a tactic here with rooks h8, but that's very difficult to find. And now you just took him out tactically. Bishop takes. Knight d8. Calmly, king b1 after playing bishop takes g6. I am a little concerned about that stacked up pieces there. Bishop takes, rook, yep. But luckily you have this. And now you're winning. And now his king is dead. Wow. Nice. Bishop h4, knight e8, f3, here. He's lucky he survived without getting mated. With c4. That knight on a3 is not in the game, so he's getting it in the game. Knight takes e4, king b7, and now rook takes e8. Ouch. That's a nice win. Good job. Okay, last game for today. I think we've got to go after this. I've got testosterone. So not to single out take back, but I have to go in like 3 minutes. Here's a correspondence I played recently against an FM, a typical Turkey fashion. I managed to squander my advantage, was lucky enough to be offered a draw before I blundered something. They pointed out semi-obvious wins, but there was a better thought process I could have. Was there a better process of thought I could have adopted to avoid such tragedies? So you're white here. Knight f3, King's Indian attack against the Polish. Yeah, I talked about this before. Galish really played that against me. That move, like, I understand take back. No, I'm sorry I can't get to every single game. I'm a perfectionist, you know, and I like to go over all the games, but I've got someone else who's relying on me to do something really important. That's the problem why I can't stay past 7. It's not like it's just for myself. I can't stay past 7 because of someone else who's counting on me to do something. Bishop b7, castles e6, d3, and now bishop e7. E4, d5, and then e5. So, yeah, this is a pretty typical King's Indian attack against the Polish. Absolutely, really standard. Looks like black has some counterplay, but white should be a little bit better, I would guess, with the space. Here, rook e1, c5, h4, classic plan now. It's like a normal game where white played a4. You know, I mean, I guess we should go back and just say I don't really like a4. Okay, I'll leave it at that. I don't really like it. I don't think that's best. So you should, like, according to Dvoretsky, don't play on the queen side in the King's Indian attack. You know, this is kind of like a general rule. But anyway, okay, you did it. There it is. It gives black a little bit more space than you typically have in the King's Indian attack. Bishop f4, very standard position. Just except this pawn is pushed up, and that pawn is pushed up over there. So he did that knight d4. I mean, I guess this is just a mistake to play knight to d4 too early when the pawn becomes weak on d4. And you went after the pawn. You know, you could follow the computer and play like queen g4, but this looks very normal. You want to tie him down, and that's, you know, already, like, even if you just did this, I would think like white is clearly better. If you just took his bishop, how is he going to protect his king side? I did a series on Chess Lecture that it was like Petrosian on the King's Indian attack. I mean, he would have a field day here with white. That bishop, it's not really a bad bishop. He missed king h8 there. Knight takes c5, knight takes c5, and bishop h6, g6, bishop g5, bishop f6, with likely like a mating attack. I think you're just going to checkmate him. I mean, at the end of the day here. It's very unlikely that black will survive after this, this, and this, and h5. And you can do like king h2, rook h1, just to put the nail in the coffin down the h file. I don't think there's any way he's going to survive. He needs that dark square bishop to defend his king side. That's the problem. So this is basically what happened, though, except he got the pawn to b3, which was a little bit weird. He was able to hold on. Yeah, that's tough, and we don't want to lose this, the kind of base of our pawn chain there. But it was good enough. Not easy to win, though. I mean, the computer says +2 point whatever, but I mean, it's long horizon stuff here. The reason why you're winning, probably long variations. Or you're going to have to knock out that bishop, or the knight, sorry. You're going to have to knock the knight out with like bishop b5. Here, here, here. He just managed to sort of simplify. And that was a nice plan to come up with rook e3 and here. Definitely don't want to trade pieces. So if you take on d7, I mean, it's going to be difficult to checkmate him. He's got queen f5. This is a huge problem. And that's what you did. Yeah, so now it's like problematic, very technical position, and wasn't enough to win. I mean, maybe you can win, but it's not easy. Okay. All right, and then, I mean, I'll just take a look here what Takeback was showing. Very quickly, he said between move what? Between move 11, thank you for resubscribing. Where is Takeback? What's he saying? Between moves what? It's a combination. Moves 19 and 30. Alright, let's go to this position then. So this is Takeback versus Al somebody. And move 19 and 30. So let's take a look here. Queen h5. Looks like a scotch or something like that with white. He said between move. Okay, so here, white has a nice build up on the king side. He takes that. And now knight takes e4. Well, all the white pieces are in the attack. Queen takes f4. And now you had blundered with knight g5. So you could have played bishop c4 check. And then black has to play king h8, obviously. And now rook f3 like wins the rook. So that's cool. And then, so you didn't do that. You did knight g5 here. Let me go back. Knight g5, double question mark. And he missed queen e5. Like he has a square. Pinning your knight to your queen when there's no... Yeah, I mean, you're basically expecting him to take on g5, and he doesn't have to take. He can defend with like bishop f5, something like that. So he takes, and then it's like rook f1. And still he could survive with queen h4. Okay, I'm cheating with the engine. It's probably freezing my stream. Sorry, guys. And then queen e5, rook takes f8 here. Rook f3 check, knight f5, knight takes f5, and now black played g4. And now queen h8, double question mark. So here you have a forced mate, knight h6 check. Beautiful. King e7. I would assume king e7. Is there a mate now? Rook f7, king e8. That's kind of a hard mate to see though. Here, sorry, king e8 or king e8. Rook f8 check. King d7. Wow, that's a cute final though. Yeah, that's nice. All right, guys, I gotta go. Interesting tactic there. Beautiful mating net that you could have probably found with a little bit extra time. It was a knight sack. No, I know it's maybe a blunder according to the computer, but it was an intentional sacrifice, of course. I will see you guys later. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow on Friday, 12 noon EDT here with our Fast Friday stream, just Blitz 5+3, casual. Thanks everybody for supporting the stream. Dim, Merle Dixon, everyone else. We will see you on Friday, and take care. Bye-bye.